Yeah, what's up? DEL and I'm back again. Funky Homosapien with the new shit. Whackness never prospers. Whackness never prospers. Well, first we're gonna start it out like this. We'll give out some shouts. Starting right up like this. All the hieroglyphics, SOM, Cash, Extra Pro, Pepper, J Biz, and myself, cause I made this shit. So I hope y'all dig it, especially big up to Severe, Polk, and Hobo Junction. Pushing the limits of hip-hop, you know, it's always appreciated, dig? Also CMPX, TLE, Insane Individuals, cause we are from the old school, dig? Big up the Onion for all the time of development at the Onion Lab. Free editions. It's cool to work where niggas dig shit, even if it's different. So, you know, much respect goes out. Some shouts out to Mystic Journeyman, you know, keep it going. These niggas dig that shit, you know, you can go far with it. Every other crew in Oakland, peace. Every other person with just see a tape here, listen to it now. You got yourself something special, so don't lose it. And on that note, enjoy this shit and peace.
Yeah. Check it out, y'all.
Nah, I still hate DMC.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the House List. I'm Peter Agustin, your host. And here we are. Hold on, listen to this. That was the cassette that I wanted to play for you for this very special episode with my conversation with Del, the Funky Homosapien. That little clip that I played, I can't tell you how much I ripped my house apart looking for this tape. It has no writing on it, no track listing, and it was a dub someone gave me probably in like 1995, around that time, 95, maybe 1996, and I've had it forever, and I knew I was going to talk to Del. It was kind of like, coming up, but not with a lot of time to plan. But I knew I had this tape, and I knew I had a video that we recorded around 1999 where I went to his house somewhere in the East Bay, and filmed him for what was going to be a documentary that I was then producing called, for lack of a better word, which may one day come out, that I was shooting. And I traveled all over the country filming different hip-hop artists, and I spent an afternoon with Del, and for an hour or so recorded him playing Nintendo, PlayStation 1, and checking out anime VHSs and toys and comic books and playing beats on the MPC. It's an incredible captured moment in time, and I knew if I saw him, because he had a small window of time, that I wanted to share both of those things with him. And I get to. But he was in New York to perform with the Gorillaz at a music festival here in the city this weekend. And so I knew I didn't have a ton of time to talk to him. But we did have a fantastic conversation. I'm really appreciative of his time. I want to take a second to thank Domino from Hieroglyphics for helping me set it up too, and Tajay. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, this is the House List Podcast. My name is Peter Agustin. I'm the host and producer of the show. Every show is edited and engineered by CJ Stewart. If you're a fan of Hieroglyphics, then you should absolutely check out my conversation with Tajay from Souls of Mischief, which I posted a few weeks back. You can find the House List on iTunes, on the Stitcher app. It's actually on YouTube as well for all the people that don't mess with any of those things. Go to SoundCloud.com/the House List Podcast, and that's one definite way to peep it all out. Some great episodes. Sat from the Nonce, Dame Funk, themselves, Z-Man, and Tajay is episode 43. So go back and peep that out if you haven't already. So anyway, my conversation with Del. Yeah, I was absolutely excited at the prospect, and I've been a fan since the very beginning. Obviously since the first album. And so, like I said, we didn't have a ton of time, but of course I wanted to try and talk to him about as much stuff as we could. in the context of how I usually do these episodes, which is like very much a casual conversation. And most of the people that I talk to, if not all of them, I'm already extremely familiar with their work, or I'm a fan or a friend of theirs or something like that. I mean, of course, Dell's no exception whatsoever. I've been a fan for the longest, and those, to me, those first 4 albums in his catalog are all necessary, required, classic albums to me. And anyone, I couldn't recommend them any more to people. So I wish my brother George was here. Obviously, that's from 91, his debut. No Need for Alarm, 93. Future Development, which kind of came out in 1997, more as a cassette, and then it was like re-released a few times. And then Both Sides of the Brain from 99. The thing is with Dell, though, he's like put out several other full-length albums, and I've been dipping into the new stuff too. I mean, he actually put a record out last year, and yeah. So I couldn't really talk about every single thing he put out, obviously, and but I wanted to get as much as we could, and we had I think we did pretty good. I think if you're a fan, or even if you're sort of just like getting hip to him, if you're if you are 16, 17, 18, 19 years old and you're kind of learning about stuff from the 90s, if you will, or however you're just stumbling across his material, then I think we touch on a lot of the stuff. Even his involvement with Ice Cube's early material, his first couple solo albums. And we talk about Death Certificate and Sir Jinx and DJ Pooh are both instrumental in Dell's early career. And yeah, a bunch of stuff. I hope that you guys dig this. And that song in the beginning, I don't know how many, if any, people, obviously some people have that. I don't know. It's from a whole album I have on a tape. It's about 10 songs. And we talk about it, so I don't need to necessarily preface it too much. But I'm so glad I found it. You don't even know how many boxes. I got a lot of cassettes at my house, and I could not find that shit. And I found the case like a week or 2 ago, and I tore my place up looking for this thing. I started hitting up. I actually hit up the guy that originally gave it to me, and then I found who I think was the guy that gave it to him, and hit them both up. And, all I can say is I'm glad I found my copy, because I don't think that there's many copies floating around, if any. So anyway, that's a treat. I'm going to maybe play another little snippet out of that at the end of the show, too. And so we basically talked until the moment he had to, run into the van and go to the festival grounds to play with the Gorillaz on their set. So, yes. So I hope you guys enjoy this as much as I did. It was fun. It was kind of off the cuff. So yeah, peep it out, y'all. And don't forget to subscribe to the Houseless Podcast. Here, I do it for y'all. I do it for the love. And excuse me if I took a couple of weeks off. For one reason or another, I needed to take a little bit of time off. But again, if this is your first time tuning in August, I dropped 2 episodes a week for the whole month. So there's a lot of great stuff for you to go back on if you're just picking up on the podcast right now. Thank you guys so much. And without further ado, let's get into my conversation with the one and only Dell, the Funky Homosapien, here on the House List. A long time ago, someone made me this tape. And this is actually, I'm going to show you the cover of it. I mean, this is just like someone made me a dub of a tape in 1995. So obviously you see, this is the part where there's no information whatsoever. Uh-huh. And I knew that there was a chance that I might be able to chat with you coming up. And I was like, I gotta find that fucking tape. I haven't listened to it in a million years, too. And I tore my place upside down looking for it. Of course, it wasn't. I found this a week before I found the actual cassette, the case.
Oh God!
You know what I'm saying? So I want to play you this, and if this rings any bells, because obviously, we're living in an age of the internet, and I try to find if there was any kind of documentation of this thing at all. Right. And I could not find it to save my life, So I wanted to see. This is also a little unorthodox style. if I think I rewound it.
Yeah, what's up? L and I'm back again. Funky Homosapien with the new shit.
Going off the walls.
Never prospers.
Now this definitely
never prospers. But first we gonna start it out like
I could not find any documentation of this.
Shout starting right up like this. All the hieroglyphics.
It's like a proper intro. And what I found is like it feels like it's almost an album. It's like 10 joints, you know?
That's probably how I went about doing it.
Big up the beer, folk, you know.
And a lot, actually.
Do you recognize this intro at all? Or?
I recognize it, but I don't remember. I remember doing it. It's old as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, like, because one, I got it a dub of this so long ago.
So four track.
Yeah, it has to work. Right?
Niggas dig shit, even if it's different.
Let's see, now I'm fucking with the Walkman to make sure I don't get any bugs.
Mystic journeyman, you know, keep it going. Niggas dig that shit, you know, you can go far with it. Every other crew.
So, I mean, it feels as though it's like from the era of No Need for Alarm. I mean, it's like straight.
Right after that, probably.
Right, so it's straight like loop, bassline loops, like soul and jazz loops of that era. But I
chopped up a lot of shit back then, so.
Right. So was this? I mean, obviously, like you have had like a, you know, it goes without saying that you are super prolific as far as recording goes. I mean, there's like not just the physical albums of like from the 90s to the early 2000s, and then this like all the mixtapes and the leaks from the last like 5 or 6 years. And I'll fade this out in a second. I just want you to hear that this is also, I don't know if this is ringing bells either, but
no, I do.
Yeah,
this one, somebody, if Dom heard this, he would know.
Was this? Did you produce this too? Or, yeah.
I was producing.
Yeah. So I'll chill on that. But yeah.
Like I said, I play music. At this point, I've studied music theory for about over 10 years. So.
Right. I mean, yeah, because I mean, at this point in time in your career, like looking back, you know, there's a million different reference points. I mean, and obviously, like you've always been like sort of on the cusp of like new technology and embracing like you know, different means of recording and samplers and drum machines and now you're playing instruments as well. I mean, I'm sure you've been doing that too as well, like leading into all of this. But finding this little tape, which seems like it's just its own like a home recording album, right? Mm-hmm. Was there more of this stuff? Was that just something you did?
Oh no,
just for kicks? Or what?
I mean, there's more of it, but like. I got hella songs that ain't never been released.
Right.
To give you a some kind of reference point, if you a fan of like Frank Zappa,
right,
you know he got hella shit that ain't never even been released, just floating on the internet and shit.
Right.
And I'm sure that ain't even all the shit that he did.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? Like he had a vault and shit, like literal vault where he had all this shit in it.
Yeah, it reminds me, it's like, you know, a Prince, of course, like had like an incredible amount of never released stuff. And it's not like, you know, I think fans and consumers like have this certain expectation of artists to like release everything, or like they seek out their unreleased shit. But, you know, it could even be for someone like Bird or Thelonious Monk, where these guys they basically recorded every day of their lives, you know. And
try to.
Yeah. And it seems like even to this day, I mean, it's not like, you know, there's other artists of the era of like the Electric years and stuff that they made incredible music, but it only really existed in that particular kind of framework. Whereas like this has been, for you, it's like, I mean, because I was just trying to get up on those leaks too, which are recent, and the mixtapes. It's never really stopped for you though, right? Like,
nah. I mean, ever since I've discovered you could record sound,
right,
I've been playing with that in some way or another. You know what I'm saying? Just recording sound,
right?
But also, I just like experience. It's all like one thing to me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always trying to devise the perfect song. You know what I'm saying? The perfect album, or you know what I'm saying? Just how to convey what I'm trying to do in that perfect manner.
Right.
Rapping too, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's all part of an experiment, I guess. And in a lot of ways, that's from what I know about Zappa. He was the same way.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like he was so focused on these like high level concept songs, but also just getting stuff down on tape too, in a way. So, because I listened to this cassette. I mean, was there a name for that at all, or like
if there was, I don't remember.
Right, of course. It's so hilarious that one, the tape has. I mean, obviously, there's absolutely no information on it. The cassette that the guy gave it to me has no track listing too, but that it's like its own actualized project. It's an album for all intents and purposes, but it's like, it's in between like two. What I think what your fans would, in like collectors and people that look at your career as a whole, like it's between, No Need for Alarm and Future Development, which are these like, incredible like albums if you go back to them. Like in the era of the album, like both of those, they're so different in so many ways, but they're like, so true to like your general, I think, approach to music. I mean, would you agree with that? I mean, it's a long-winded way of saying that. But.
No, I'll agree with that. With Future Development, I was trying to create a project that would keep me from getting dropped off the label.
So was that actually? I think there's like, I wonder about this too. Was it intended to be a record that would come out on Elektra?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It just didn't. What happened there? I'm trying to think what happened there.
Was it not to people's liking or something like that? Or
I think Dante, he wasn't working at Elektra anymore.
Okay, so there was like that shifting of the guard that happens, right?
And you know what? I think really what kind of fucked me up was I went out to dinner with Sylvia Rome, right? Mm-hmm. Shout out to Sylvia Rome because she didn't have to do this, but she large. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For her to even be having dinner with me to discuss my recording career or whatever, it was big.
Was that here in New York?
This was in the Bay Area, so
wow, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's big. You know what I'm saying? Domino's with me.
Cool.
So basically, she was trying to ask me like, would I work with this producer or that producer, like like a Premier or Pete Rock? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And I was, which of course, obviously, I would have loved to do that because I love them dudes. But I guess at the time, I was just cocky or something because I was like, well, what's the next dude that I can't do?
Well, I mean,
that's exactly what I said though.
Right.
But like now looking back, I could see like her probably getting hella frustrated. Like, that's not what I'm asking you, dude. You don't make hits. I'm asking you, is there some way that I could keep you on the label, basically?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Without her blatantly saying,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think she was just like, probably felt like I don't know, Sylvia, you can tell the story if you want to, but after looking back, I feel like I probably was frustrating her, and she probably was like, man, dude, it's going to be too hard to work with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it just ended up where I got dropped.
Right.
Which I'm not really mad at, you know what I'm saying? Even then, I wasn't really mad at it.
Really? Yeah.
Because I could realize I was probably hard to deal with, you know what I mean?
Was it something that you had already turned that record in, or was it you were sitting on that and it was like, well, it's inevitable that this
development?
Yeah.
It's never even been mixed. So the version that everybody heard at this point is not even mixed.
Oh, wow.
It don't even have certain shit on it that I was working towards. Like I was trying to do some shit with Day Live, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
A lot of different shit that I had. I think Redman, I was about to fuck with Redman.
Well, yeah, in a way, it's like it sort of predated a lot of like the that big Bay Area and like the West Coast kind of independent movement as far as like the style of production too, because that style of production is not only like a departure from No Need for Alarm, but it like I don't know it in a way it's like it wasn't like an actualized finished like major label album, but it's still made like this giant impact. I mean, it was like a cult classic. I mean, right? I mean,
that's it did what it was supposed to do then.
Right.
I was approaching it like, let me make some shit that people can actually get into.
Right.
Versus what I thought was dope. Not saying that I didn't think that was dope or nothing, but like you could be hella insular with your shit, and it only will appeal to people that's really, really, really nuts about the shit.
Of course,
you know what
right.
I tried to make future development more where it would have more of an appeal, just overall.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean?
I think it's an interesting testament too for like and people don't talk about this enough, really, like the producers of hieroglyphics. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
because
A+ produced like A+ produced a grand amount of that record.
Yeah. But I think when people maybe first got it, they didn't. It was, you know, since it was like an underground tape originally, like really that's how people kind of got a hold of it. And it might not have been an era when we were so fixated on who produced what. It has this like really, cohesive mix of stuff where you think that it's all one producer in a way, because it kind of like, I mean, and I'm just riffing on this shit because I'm a fan of it, and you know, it came out a while ago too, but the fact that it's like, it's not just, it's A+, but Opio and yourself, and I think
Opio
even
did a couple too. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I think maybe Domino did. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
But it like fits this whole, I mean, there's just something about it with, especially with like the vocal samples, which must have been, I can't recognize the movie it came from. I know it was, there's some movies, there's some anime.
Yeah, it had to be some anime.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Something that I felt like would not be caught.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, because it's those English dub version, because you can tell the kind of, you know, with anime too, like when they have the English dub, it's a certain kind of actor that's doing it, that has that like really like, I don't know how you would even describe that voice, but
I think they try to keep it similar to a Japanese acting voice,
right,
with the anime, but just in English.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, it's so specific to its own thing, because there's another record, obviously, like, you know, this is like a talking point for so many people too, but I would be remiss not to just like for a moment talk about this, about No Need for Alarm, just because it's because Future Development is such a departure from that too. But
You think so?
I think so. I think because if you, production wise, lyrically, I think you've been like, I mean, you have lyrics for days. I mean, dude, that's like one of the greatest things I think about you. But I think production wise, it's like, so the bass lines on this thing are just like, it's just bass line on bass line, and it's crunchy. And maybe it's because Future Development was maybe not fully actualized because of what was going on with the label. But
I think so.
I mean, what are you looking back at that? Because obviously people probably ask you about this record all the time. Like, you know, and we were talking about, not to get on a tangent, but, you know, we were talking about some battle shit too for this. Mm-hmm. And like the battle circuit that's like totally thriving right now.
That had a lot to do with that. That has a lot to do with my aesthetic as an artist, anyway.
I feel like this album is like, it's so battle. It's like, it's battle raps of that era, you know, actualized.
I mean, to me, I don't know. To me, that's how you rap, basically.
Right.
I mean, I guess you could rap in other ways, but I don't know no other way, really, that we was rapping back then besides battling. Like, that's all we did was battle. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, to hear raps like that, it's just part of the culture. Like, if you was doing graffiti, at a certain point, you was battling other graffiti artists.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the whole point.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, or like if you was a DJ, at a certain point, you'd be battling other DJs.
Absolutely.
Somebody in another town or something is going to be claiming they're the hottest, and you're going to be like, nah, my boy over here, though, he raw. He cleaner than you. Oh, okay, we're going to have to see then.
Right. Yeah, because I think, too, it's funny, when I was talking to Tajay, I think people don't talk enough about No Man's Land, so Souls of Mischief's second album, you know, and how, in a way, there might be some similarities, in a way, from 93 to Infinity to No Man's Land with your first record and this one, where they
Start immediately blinking. Oh, go. I'm sorry.
No. That's all right. I'm just wondering if it's going to pop off.
No, that's kind of what I'm worried about.
Right. But I mean, that was obviously like those records were kind of back to back in a way, maybe for Hyro. I think. I know.
Sort of.
They were. I mean, No Man's Land was a little after this. Obviously, it's a couple years later.
A little bit, but kind of the same difference, maybe as far as aesthetic or feel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like with No Need for Alarm, I felt like I had to prove something.
Why? Because coming off of that first record, that was a departure, obviously, into this thing too, right? Like
sort of like personality wise, I would say my personality probably closer to the first album than it is to the second album. Second album is just kind of like one dimension of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The first album had more to do with how I really am every day on like in a general way. You know what I'm saying? Outside of battling and saying I'm better than fools and all this shit. Right. Like that ain't even really me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When it comes to like, hip hop and shit like that, that's just how you do it. You know what I'm saying? As far as I'm concerned, like, you're supposed to think you the best. You're supposed to be striving to be the best, that's the whole point of it. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to be raw. Why even involve yourself in it if you're not gonna try to be raw?
Right.
Nobody gonna accept you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody is trying to be the best them they could be.
Right.
Matter of fact, back in the day, like if you wasn't a certain level, you couldn't even play. Basically, you get clowned. Like, oh, for real? Like, you really think you could rap, or you really think you type at graffiti or something? Like, you a buster, you a toy, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, I think maybe to a certain degree nowadays that those gates have kind of been trampled down. There's a little less like quality control for what it's worth. Obviously, like technology plays a big role in that too, because the accessibility of putting anything up.
I think that's why I like battle rap, because it ain't like that with that.
Yeah, because you have to. You'll get eaten up if you try to come.
You might get beat up. You know what I'm saying? It's back on that. Like you might get whooped trying to come around. Like, it's rough, but I like that about it.
Right.
Like, it's real street. It's real. It's just real. You know what I'm saying? It's not no. I don't want to start cursing like that, but like, you know what I'm saying? It ain't no punk shit.
Right.
It's just like how it was before. So that's why I hella like it, because it's like you damn near gotta know somebody that knows somebody to even be playing.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just jump in it out of nowhere. Like, who the hell is you, dude?
Right.
Unless somebody happen to hear you and you so amazing, they like, oh, okay, nah, you got to do this. You might get encouraged, like, I'm like, nah, you got to do this.
Would you say, like, is the Bay really the center of all that? But it's still a regional. It's got regional pockets. It's
everywhere. Battle rap is everywhere at this point, and to the point of saturation. But I think like the insular nature of it has kind of like caused a lot of leagues to not exist anymore.
Oh, like, okay, so who got the knocked out?
I can't even say, because there's so many little leagues that'll pop up, you know what I mean? But the main leagues, I guess you could say, is URL, Ultimate Rap League, King of the Dot, which covers like Canada and the West Coast.
It's huge in Canada, I know that.
Yeah, it's huge out here too.
Right.
I mean,
is it in New York? I feel like I'm sleeping on it in New York. I know in the Bay. I know all the Bay people. I don't know the New Yorkers, though. Like...
URL is New York.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, URL Ultimate. I
don't mean to play myself by not admitting it. I want to learn,
Like Smack, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Smack was a New York thing. Right?
Yeah, Smack. He had the Smack DVDs and shit. And it kind of grew from the Smack DVDs. You know what I mean? So,
where's Hollow the God from? Is that...
Hollow the Don?
Yeah.
I've seen him. But see, they used to have like Grind Time. They used to have like they had what was that shit they used to be on? They had some shit on HBO. I don't even remember the name of it right now. Mm-hmm. And then they had 106 and Park battles and stuff. That's like that.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It was like an in between period where, it was basically battle rap never left in the first place.
Right.
Really. It started getting to a point where it was ridiculous. Like, I just turned around and all of a sudden, fools was crazy. And then I seen like, Party Artie battle somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, shit.
And I was like, that's Party Artie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You feel me?
Yeah, of course. And he had the crazy voice.
From the Ghetto Dwellers, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Showbiz and AG, man.
You feel me?
Rest in peace.
I was like, you know, I didn't know he battled. Like, that just put him in a whole nother upper echelon in my mind. Like, oh, okay, he battled fools. Like, he above what I thought he was. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was clean, but that put him up here.
Well, it's a totally different realm, you know. It's that's why, you know, it's funny, and I kind of came onto this late, but Z-Man jumped into the battles and stuff, you know, and that's my dude, that's my good friend.
I fuck with Z-Man too.
Yeah, I love Z-Man, and I was, you know, and he gave it. He had lyrics, he had bars in it. He got served. I'm not sure. I mean, that's my dude, but I think it was really admirable of him to jump into the arena like that, because not a lot of like people that just do records and do traditional hip hop shows can do that. Can just jump into it, because it's a totally different world. I feel like
I don't feel like it's a totally different world. I don't. Maybe a different level of skill.
Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, making songs is one thing, but to be really, really hella raw at lyrics, like, especially now where it's not even really based on how many syllables you can rhyme anymore. It's based on conceptual ideas and stuff now. Right. Like, it's closer to comedy writing at this point.
Right, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? And that's, you know, wordplay is a big part of humor.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I would say about 60% or more of humor writing is based on wordplay. So just from that alone, it's going to be, you know, humorous. So when I start seeing like a Charlie Clips is like one of my favorite dudes. Okay. And dude was just so funny or conceited, you know what I'm saying? Right. I'm like, okay, these fools know what they doing. They just too raw. Like, you know, they dominating. You feel me? But I feel like the reason why they dominating, because, they did know a little bit extra. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Which is why they're on, like, you know, they're on, like, what's Nick Cannon's show?
Oh,
Wildin' Out.
Right. Well, yes, exactly.
I think Nick Cannon kind of peaked and was like, okay, we could use some of that on the show, because the show is based kind of on, like, a battle theme, sort of. You know what I'm saying? Right. Loosely kind of based on that type of thing. They really come from that, and they got them writing skills.
Right. It's funny because now I think about what other shows were actually on TV. You know,
there was some other shit that was
Lyricist
out.
Lounge had that show where they were rhyming through every sketch. You know, and they had it was more like it was like sketch rhyming. It was less battling, but it was Wordsworth and
the skill level was there.
Absolutely,
right. It just wasn't necessarily based on attacking another rapper.
No, it's more humor based, I guess. Mm-hmm. You know, and storytelling and humor, and not
But that era reminds me of this era now. Right. So at least in battle rap, like battling was cool for a minute, but then after a while, it just started getting ridiculous. I just turned around like one day and was like, damn, these fools are stupid with it now. Right. And that's kind of how I felt about the Lyricist Lounge era. You know what I'm saying? Like, I heard like a Thurston Howell and was like, oh my God. Like, first of all, his name is Thurston Howell off rip already. Like, that already had me dying like he's a fool for that. Yeah. Then I hear him rap and I'm like, okay, these fools is just ridiculous now.
Right. It's funny, too, because if you look back, I mean, maybe that was really the start of this era that we're in now, because, like, you know, you're coming from when battles took place, they weren't as organized, perhaps. It was on the radio, and it was, like, at shit like the Gavin.
I forgot it was on the radio.
Well, I mean, dude, at Hobo Junction, Hieroglyphics, that was
kind of like, but that was one battle.
But that was one historic battle. I mean, they were few and far between. I think now it's thriving because it existed more on the radio. I mean, look at I can't.
I would say that it's on the street, basically.
Gotcha.
That's why there ain't. I would say that's my theory. Why there ain't no beat attached to it? Because when do you battle somebody and there's a beat playing? I don't recall. Got a point. Yep. I don't recall ever battling somebody and there was a beat playing. The most you got was somebody beating on the car hood or on the fucking wall or something. Right. You know what I'm saying? When I was at school and I was in school battling other motherfuckers, there wasn't no fucking beat.
Right.
There was no possibility of having a beat.
Right. Which
maybe somebody beatboxing. Maybe.
Right.
Maybe, but it was so focused on rapping that wasn't there. But we didn't need a beat though. The rap is your beat.
Absolutely.
You know
yeah. I mean, yeah. Of course. That drives it.
Even Ice-T said this. So a lot of people see battling and they're like, okay, these fools don't even rap on beat. They can't. Then they go further and they're like, they can't rap on beat.
Yeah, that might be a little unbiased maybe.
That's hella biased. Because I'm like, how do you rap and not rap on beat? Okay, maybe you got the freedom to control where you gonna put the beat.
Right.
But how do you rap and not? The whole point of rap is to be rhythmic. Maybe you can't hear the rhythm because you already assuming that they can't rap to a beat already.
Sure. So
it just sound like mumbo jumbo to you. But it probably would sound mumbo jumbo to them even if it was on a beat. Because I've heard people say the same shit about rap on music. Like,
right. Well,
I don't even understand this shit.
Right.
It's too advanced, basically.
Right. Which reminds me of a classic video of you and Leaders of the New School with Busta Rhymes has the two pool balls, and it's his sense of rhythm in that. I don't know if people have not peeped that before. They should definitely do it because it's not like a traditional drum beat like you would do, like,
right.
funky drummer or Impeach the President or some shit like that. It's like this off time thing that actually is, I don't know what the time signature would be, but it's so amazing that I
forgot that he was even doing that.
Yeah, because it's more like it's almost like
Clave or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which absolutely works in that sense. If that is more of the straight freestyle era too, which is its own thing in itself.
But like I'm saying though, like that's what it is. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like I think like leaders kind of respected us more when they peeped that we can do that.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
I remember I met Busta and I forgot who all was there, but I definitely know Busta was there.
Right.
I think maybe Dinko might have been there, but we was at a hotel room.
Okay.
All four of them might have been there.
With that pool, freestyle? No, it's different.
This is off camera.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? This is before then.
This is your first encounter with them, or what?
Yeah, I would say. And we had a hotel room, me and Souls, I think maybe.
Okay. Here?
Nah, this was in the Bay somewhere.
Right.
And we fools used to come to my house, and I'd be upstairs in my bedroom. This is at my mama's house.
Right.
And we would like freestyle, and we had this thing where we would be bouncing on my bed.
Okay.
Like I had a big ass bed back there, like a king size bed or something. So motherfuckers would be bouncing on the bed to the rhythm, and we was doing that at the hotel room where we was seeing, leaders. We started busting or whatever, and we was just doing that same shit that we would be doing at my house, bouncing on the bed. And I think like Bus was like, man, these kids is ill. Like, what? This is crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they felt us, but it was crazy because they never seen it or something. Right. It's like, okay, they stupid with it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's an amazing sense of rhythm. If you can actually rhyme off the rhythm of bouncing on a bed, that's some serious shit.
But I think like the just the creativity and just
right, exactly,
really being about it like that, like he could see like, okay, these fools is really from the real grain and shit.
Right.
But I noticed that about them too though.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what made me like them. Like any rapper that got that, or any group or artist that got that, I fuck with them. And if they don't got that, I might not fuck with them like that. You know what I'm saying? Like my taste has grown over the years, so you don't have to be super duper hip hop for me to like your music.
But I mean, at that point in time, this is a totally different. I mean, everyone's younger. It's a different era. It's the early '90s. So I guess hip hop was more. I don't know.
Hip hop was futuristic to me. It's still future. Hip hop is the reason why electronic music is popular today. I will go on record and make that blatant claim.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like they made electronic music popular because I used to like electronic music, but
Of what era are you thinking when you say that?
Any kind of electronic music.
Like electro of the 80s? Or,
No, I'm talking about it.
Kraftwerk?
It might be in a TV show or something.
Gotcha.
Like
Yeah.
I'm kind of older, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm 45, so like
Right.
when I'm saying electronic music, I'm talking about the rare places that you could ever hear it,
Sure.
which definitely wasn't on no records.
Right. So it's
Maybe
more in the environment that you're talking about.
Yeah, you know, it'd be on a TV show
Right.
or in a movie, like like I used to be tripping, like, damn, what is the little noises and shit you can make that sound like they from
Right.
another world and shit.
Right.
Like we made that popular because we were the ones that embraced the sampler or embraced using a turntable to make music with. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
that was some other shit. It's still some other shit. I don't think nothing is cleaner than that still.
Were you like messing with? I mean, before the first album, like as far as like actually making beats or making loops and stuff, what was your entry point with that? I mean, not to like get too go too deep into the past about it, but you know, I would just be curious, like how you even got into that, because the first album is its own anomaly as far as the production goes, because it's with like it was like, you know, it was Cube and was it Sir Jinx as well? Or?
Still made with samplers.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
You know what
What kind of samplers was that? Was it SP?
Oh, what kind of sample?
Yeah, the actual gear I'm talking about.
SP 1200.
Yeah.
For the most part, maybe an MPC in there somewhere, but we was fucking with SP.
Right.
I picked all that shit up from Sir Jinx, pretty much.
Nice. Yeah.
Sir Jinx was my mentor. He pretty much taught me how to make songs.
I mean, he's such an amazing sampler. I mean, as far as flipping and cutting samples and shit.
Yeah, he was raw with it.
I mean, that record with Cool G Rap is so amazing too. That was like his later Cool G Rap with Sir Jinx. Yeah.
He picked that shit up from, I'm sure, Dre and being, because he's Dre cousin, so.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So I just picked it up from Jinx, basically, and being around him. Because prior to that, I used to be wondering, how is people lifting these things? I knew these records because I grew up with my father having some of these records.
Right.
And I used to be like, how are they taking that one part and making it and putting it in a different context like that?
Did you ever do the pause mixtape thing? Like,
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have no equipment, so how else?
Of course, yeah.
All this shit is out of necessity, you know what I'm saying?
Of course, yeah.
Like, we rapped with no beat in the street because how you gonna have a beat playing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, for all intents and purposes, we was broke.
Right.
But we still wanted to entertain ourselves. That's just the easy way to entertain ourselves.
Did you use records? Did you use your parents' records? I mean, obviously a lot of people. Yeah. So your folks were pretty they were into music. There was a musical household.
My father was.
Yeah.
My mom, she was like the typical person.
Indifferent to it, or
not indifferent to it, but like if it was a hit on the radio and it had a cool beat or something, she liked it probably.
Right, yeah.
Just like any other person.
Sure.
My father was a little bit more deeper into the music.
They had like the turntable in the living room type of situation.
Of course, but that was more because of my father. I would say my father was an audiophile of sorts.
Oh, nice.
Like he would build like speakers and shit.
Oh, wow.
He had like a track recorder like in the early days.
Like a reel.
Yeah, reel to reel. He had one of them. You know what I'm saying?
What did he do? Like, because people used to make basically make mixtapes with those. Like they would record their records, and I mean.
Oh, this is way before any of that.
Right.
This is like the late 70s.
Oh, so he would actually have the albums on reel to reel. Like
he might.
Right.
He might make a tape, or he made mixtapes and shit.
Yeah.
Like when the dubbing system came out.
Sure.
He was up on that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he was somewhat of an audiophile.
Right.
But my father is an abstract artist, so that's what he did. Like in the early 80s, mid 80s.
What was his medium? It was paint or
paint, but I would say collaging, sort of.
Oh, dope.
He was into textures.
Okay.
So he would have a painting, and they'll have different textures. Like he might have a jacket from Vietnam or something, and you could see the texture is different from whatever else he put up on there. You know what I'm saying? He was just into textures.
Oh, he would put it on the actual jacket.
Yeah, the jacket would be part of the fucking artwork.
Oh, dope.
You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
My father was in Vietnam too.
Was he?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was born either before he got sent to the service or maybe a little bit afterwards.
Oh, wow. Did he ever talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah,
he was able to slip out because he got shot. He got a Purple Heart actually.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
So he was raw at drawing and shit. So somehow he finagled a way to just be an artist or something.
Right.
And not have to be out in the field. You know.
Oh, while he was out there, he was able to do some stuff.
Yeah, like he might have known a sergeant or something a little bit closer or something.
Yep.
And when he got shot, they freaked a better position for him, where he could better use his skills.
Right.
You know what I mean? He told me that like not recently, but he didn't tell me that back then.
Interesting.
I think he might have been shell shocked lightweight because a lot of times when I was younger,
shit, dude, was shot. I would totally understand that.
I couldn't understand what he was saying a lot of times when I was younger.
When he would try to talk about it, or when he would bring it up, or?
Just talking, period.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Maybe that was me. Now he says he's from the South or whatever, but
oh, whereabouts is he from?
he's from Texas.
Okay.
He's from Texas. My mom is from Louisiana.
Okay.
I was born in Oakland, California.
Do you have siblings as well, or?
I had a brother, but he got killed.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Got hit by a car.
Mm.
Like hella hard too.
Oh, it's awful, man. I'm sorry.
But he was in the thug shit though.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So he already was kind of not doing good.
Mm-hmm.
He had already been to jail once. You know what I'm saying? He
Right.
went back to jail for some stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking with my cousin, basically. He basically violated probation and had to go back for a year. But he was gone for damn near a decade before that.
Oh, wow, man.
Like, he did some really bad shit.
Right.
So, and then after that, you know what I'm saying, he got hit by that car. An old-ass white woman, you know what I'm saying, probably shouldn't have been even driving and shit.
Oh, wow, really?
Hit him, he was on a bike and hit him hella hard. Like, he was dead before he even hit the ground.
Oh, my God.
So that was a big ass shock to me. This is like fairly recent, you know.
Really? Oh, I'm really sorry.
Not. I will say like in between like a decade ago, like maybe like 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh wow, man.
You know now. But that has a lot to do with my attitude towards shit too, though.
I would certainly think so. Yeah, I mean, losing a family member, especially a brother, but of course, I mean, there's no way they can't affect just your day-to-day life. You know. I lost my mom. I understand. I mean, it's like you totally change, but that's a tragedy, though. Like what happened to him, you know.
But not like racially, you know what I'm saying? Like, just because it was a white woman that did it, that don't make me be like fuck white people, you know.
Well, it seemed like it perhaps was a freak accident of some kind, maybe, or I mean,
I don't know. She might have had something against white people. I don't know.
I guess it's impossible to really truly know.
Maybe she couldn't see. You know what I'm saying?
Was she brought to justice? I mean, was that...
somewhat? My mom had to like do the whole court thing and all this shit, and you know, try to get some kind of compensation for the shit. You know, what I'm saying? But like it wasn't easy, obviously.
I wouldn't think so. No. Oh man, it's awful.
You know, my mom still trip off it. You know, I
of course.
Still trip off it. But like that has a lot to do with my attitude towards things.
Was your family? Did they like engage with your music like at a young age? Because obviously you started doing you started putting records out as a teenager. I mean, and have had a fruitful career like your whole life. You know, so
that has more to do with Cube than anything else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
was his family? They weren't from the Bay, though, right? Like, or what?
Nah, they from LA.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about his actual family. I mean, obviously, it's been well reported that your guys' connection, and it's not like I wanted to. You've been asked that a million times, but it's
some people don't even know though.
Right.
Still, like, damn, you Ice Cube, like it's so far now from my intro. A lot of people really don't know.
Yeah, I think maybe at the very beginning that was like for publicity and marketing sake, people attached themselves to that because I mean he was.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. In my mind, it wasn't like that because
it's not like it took anything. It's not like it distracted from the music itself. I mean the debut was an incredible piece of work, but I mean you played some small role in Death Certificate too, right?
Yeah. I played more than a small role in in his shit.
Right. So what?
I mean, that's basically like my favorite cousin. Like every
Right.
time I went to LA, and all my family damn near is in LA.
Really? Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because that was like the promised land of black people from the South. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like motherfuckers moved out to California, it was more lenient and
Right.
accepting towards black people.
And there's like good jobs to be had, you know, and
Yeah, there's more
opportunities, right?
The South was racist as fuck. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right. So what? So okay. So what? How, I mean, did you guys meet as like infants and babies?
Damn near.
Yeah. Okay.
Damn near. He's only like a few years older
Right.
than me. So he probably was the closest, and I just had more fun with Q. We got a lot of similarities, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I've known him, we've known each other since little kids, basically.
So did you see NWA much? Like, did you see them perform at all?
I'm not seeing an NWA perform and shit,
Right.
but I wasn't really fucking with them like that, you know what I'm
Sure.
saying? Like they was, I knew some of them somewhat, I'll tell you this. I met Jinx, which is Dre's cousin. I met him because my cousin Q got to the age where he was into girls and shit. So he wouldn't be around no more when I come to visit him.
Right,
He'd be out fucking with broads or whatever, like the
Right.
average teenager
Of
would
course.
probably be doing.
Of course.
So Jinx, even though he's older, he still would be in the front yard playing with like remote control cars and shit. And that's how I started getting cool with Jinx, because he was out in the front. Like Jinx stayed like right next door to Q.
Right.
So that's how I started.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's how I started getting cool with Jinx, because he was out there playing remote control cars. And then from that, I recognized, oh, okay, he a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that, I just started busting some raps to him. And he had a group called Busy Boy Productions.
Okay.
And he put me down with that. And he just started focusing on me because I would just be way more prolific than the cats he was working with. Like, I always had raps. The only thing was like it was not a seasoned, I guess. Like I'll just be battling all the time.
Sure. I mean, this is like what, 90 or something like that, or 89 or
Something like that.
yeah, because you got to be like 13 or 14 or
Yep.
15,
Or
know?
younger than that, man.
Right. So yeah, it's funny. Yeah, obviously you're not going to be seasoned, but I mean, it's a trip that you would, of course, still have raps.
Because I was about it. Like I'm gifted in English.
Right.
You know what I'm
Clearly.
saying? I was a GATE student.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But
What is that? I don't know what that is.
GATE is like a special what do you call it? Placement for kids that are advanced.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So even though I didn't do my work half the time, I'd be goofing off, I still was advanced as far as English is concerned. I'd be placed in advanced classes.
Were you like into like writing stories? Were you more like a narrative guy, or was it more just like in your mind, spontaneous stuff? Like, were you?
I was into poetry.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I was into writing poetry. So from that, when hip hop came along and shit, I started getting into that more because it was more related to my experience. Like, I think like The Message by Melly Mel is the one song that really just made me fuck with it.
Right.
Because all the shit he was talking about was shit I actually would be seeing. You know what I'm saying? Like broken glass everywhere, people pissing on the steps, bag lady, all this shit, you know what I'm saying?
Bag.
Like I would see that shit, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, I want to write some of this. Because poetry, it was tight, but the shit it was talking about wasn't necessarily nothing that spoke to me as a young kid.
So were you buying records, like, or did your dad buy you records? Like, were you getting, like, how'd you hear that song? Obviously, like, it had to either be on a record or
radio.
tape. Oh yes, of
It
course.
was on the radio.
Absolutely.
It was a popular song, you know what I'm saying? That was my introduction to hip hop, was the most popular shit.
Right.
So you had like Sugar Hill Gang on one end, which was amusing, I guess.
I guess
But
so, yeah.
but that wasn't the message.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And I recognized that, like, okay, this is cool, but this is the shit right here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what made me really start trying to find more shit like that. And I guess like there was certain outlets in the Bay, like KZSU Stanford,
Right.
and like
Calex.
I didn't listen to Calex.
Right.
I listened to KPLO, KZSU.
Yes.
KPLO, Marcus Clemens. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They was older, but I guess they had more access to shit from New York, basically.
Sure.
They play shit from the Bay too, but they would play all the crazy shit from New York. Like Ultramagnetics was like one of my favorites.
Dope.
You know what I'm saying? Like out of anybody, probably Ultramagnetic was like my favorite because Kool Keith would just be saying some crazy ass shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, they first came out. It was like 87, I think, really.
87, 86.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, Traveling at the Speed of
first,
Thought.
they first single, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
With that substitution break, you know what I'm saying? That's the first shit I heard. The Ultramagnetic MC Ultra. When I heard that,
records, yeah.
that shit was futuristic to me.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But shit like that is really what made me like just dedicate my mind to that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My father was a visual artist, so I'm a visual artist through that.
Right,
so
right.
graffiti really is what I really was fucking with first.
Oh, so you were drawing? You had a tag? Did you go up? Did you get any ups?
Sometimes, but
Right.
like I wasn't hella raw like that. I tried to get up, but like the legal stipulations behind that, you know what I'm saying, kept me from really wanting to pursue that because I just was like, that don't make no sense. I'm not finna go to jail and get my ass whooped because my mama gotta pay $5,000 fine or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I would have got my ass beat the fuck up. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, as most children would. So then, what, like, as far as like getting to a point where you're literally like recording in a studio? I mean, you must have done. There was like a demo stage. I mean, I would assume before. I Wish My Brother George was there, right?
Yeah.
Was it all like through Jinx? Was he basically the conduit into that, or was it a combination of him and Ice Cube, or?
It was a combination. Like my father had some recording equipment, like I said before.
Oh, so some stuff was done in the house all the way back then.
Yeah, or I would take what little money I could scrape up and buy like a 4-track, or you know what I'm saying, shit like that. Like that's what I would be trying to spend my money on.
Right.
Like maybe I have a paper route, or I'm walking somebody's dog every day, or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe I had a real job, like at the Gap. I used to work at the Gap, like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Whatever I could do to try to hustle some money to try to get a mic, or a Radio Shack mic, or whatever could be allowed with the money that I had.
Sure.
Like I ain't try to go outside my means.
Well, it's funny with that tape that I played too. Obviously, that was recorded at home, so that must have been even a semblance of some of that kind of equipment.
It was a 4-track.
Yeah,
it had to be a 4-track.
Which is so amazing too, because that was like, not that like obviously you weren't the first person to use that, but that a 4-track in the mid '90s to the late '90s in the Bay was like, I mean, it's like you probably sold more of those than electric guitars and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like people for hip hop. I mean, from Mystic Journeyman to Board Stiff and Hobo Junction and on. I mean, all these guys that made these incredible cassette albums. This 4-track was the tool of the trade.
But you gotta think though, as far as music is concerned, like that was a big ass deal,
right?
To be able to record your music at home.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, you had to go through the record companies.
Sure.
There was no other way. So I've had 4-tracks from back in the day, like the 70s, that's about this big. But to them back then, that was the shit. You know what I'm saying? Because you can actually work on some ideas and shit.
Sure.
Before you got a record deal or something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that, to me, I look at it more in them terms as music as a whole. I look at it more like, from the blues on up.
Right.
It's all the blues to me, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Everything. Like, ever since the blues, everything is that same chord progression. I don't care how mutated away from it is, but it's still based on that simple chord progression.
Amazing, yeah.
So, what was I gonna say? The 4-track afforded me a lot of freedom
Well, do you feel like when you went in to record the debut, I mean, you must have been, it's a pretty conceptual album. I mean, as far as song to song, there's like...
That had a lot to do with who I was around. DJ Pooh was incredible influence.
Well, he's like a comedic genius, too. I mean, so he was encouraging you or guiding you in any way, like as far as writing?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like I'm the type of person, you give me some direction, I could take it and go with it.
Nice.
So he might have a beat in the studio like Money for Sex.
Oh yeah.
He had
Amazing
that
song.
He had that beat in the studio. I came in one day. He had the beat rocking. He was like, "Hey Del, you think you could come up with something about Money for Sex?" And he was like, the hook would go like Money for Sex. Money for Sex, ring it up, ching, and he played a little ching sound, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, yeah," like, because at that point I done fuck with hoes or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just a common theme as far as I'm concerned. So I was like, hell yeah, I could do that. So I went to the hotel that night, wrote the shit, came back the next day to the studio, like, here we go. You know what I'm saying? It was just ready to go. So a lot of songs was done like that.
And the whole record was done in L.A.?
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep. So like Pooh was definitely a big ass influence and he had a big hand in that first album. Like me and Pooh would just be in the studio just kicking it every day. He would have like a pound of weed, it seemed like, on the console every damn day. And like all the homies would be coming through, you know what I'm saying? And just chilling and just making music, you know what I'm saying? It was just hella fun. That was probably the most fun I had working on a record ever.
I mean, I can imagine. It's a fun album to listen to. I mean, it's got to translate. Plus, I mean, just the experience of probably having that freedom inside of like a nice studio. I don't know what the studio was.
Studio's nice.
Yeah.
Nice studio, but like a lot of the work.
But it's the people that are there is really what makes it.
Yeah, it was the people that was there. And a lot of the work was done before we hit the studio. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, rarely was I in the studio and making shit up in the studio.
So you wrote most of everything, like, before you got
Yeah,
there?
that only made sense to me. That was the whole reason why I would be fucking with 4 tracks.
Did you write it to music, or did you just do it off the, like, totally in your own head? Or?
Once I heard the music, I could write the shit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I could keep a beat in my head.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It might not be the beat that it ends up being to, but
sure.
But I can hear whatever the characteristics of the beat is, and
right.
memorize it and go right to it. I don't need to have it playing.
Well, I mean, it's in just the stuff that Pooh and Sir Jinx and Ice Cube were doing at that time, from America's Most Wanted to
America's Most Wanted. The Bomb Squad did that.
Right, that's true.
And that was a big ass deal for me and for him.
Well, yeah, I mean, because Public Enemy at that time too. I mean, that was huge.
And they from the East Coast.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They pretty much was probably the top producers from the East Coast at the time. So for them to be fucking with Cube, that was like monumental. Like, damn, East plus the West, like. That was crazy, you know what I'm saying? I remember how Cube was, because that was like Cube's favorite group. Mine too, but like Cube really fucked with Public Enemy like that. So for him to leave a situation with NWA, he on his own now, and then be able to work with Public Enemy and Chuck D like that,
right.
That was like a dream come true to him. I remember when he first was finishing the shit, I'd be rolling around with him in the Suzuki Samurai and shit. He'd be like, Del, what you think of this? I'd just be listening to it like, man, you gonna fuck their head, dude. Like, This shit is so tight, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, such a huge departure from NWA too, and such a strong record, such a statement.
He got to do him completely. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, there were shades of that in NWA, but he couldn't really express himself like that in a group like that.
Nah, of course not. Nah, I mean, it was totally actualized, like Ice Cube thing, which makes, I think, Death Certificate all that much more amazing of an album too, because then that seems like he has even more control over the whole thing, and that was just like almost like a completely perfect album to me. Like the concept, the emotion. Like, were you there at all? Like, you were there. Obviously, you were there, but I mean, like, were you there during the making of a lot of those songs too, or like, were you
a little
fly
bit
on the wall type of situation?
A little bit,
right?
A little bit, but. In general, he would be running shit by me whenever he wrote it.
Oh, nice.
Like Fuck the Police. When he wrote, I remember he had it on that yellow stationery paper. You know, that legal pad or whatever. And he was like, man, what you think of this? He let me read the shit, you know what I mean?
Man.
And then he asked me what I think about it. And like, man, this is raw. Like, people say fuck the police all the time,
Right.
but nobody ever had the nuts to make a song saying that. That's what was clean to me. Like, everybody say that shit, everybody feel that way, but nobody made no song like that. And that's the type of shit that Cube would be raw at. He takes
Right.
some shit that everybody feel, everybody say that, but nobody say that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And he'll put it out there.
What did you think about the movie? Were you into the movie at all? Did you watch it?
The fact that his son played him, that was brilliant.
I thought so too.
Because he looked spookily like the same as Cube do.
Yeah, he definitely transcended into felt like you were watching him for sure. I felt I loved it just as a fan.
I didn't see it.
You didn't? Oh, amazing. Yeah.
I didn't, because
Well, you don't necessarily need to. I mean, you were kind of
exactly.
Right.
Like,
It's a Hollywood fucking depiction of
to me it kind of was like not fully factual to me, you know.
Of course.
But of course, you know, it's Hollywood, so they gonna do little shit that they feel will make it more, you know, appealing or whatever, more
Right.
exciting.
Right. Of course. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
you know, I support the shit though. You know
Yeah,
what
for
I'm
sure.
Cube, I wish I could kick it with him more. You know what I'm saying? I know he kind of feel the same way too, but I just be like, I don't know. I be on my own shit sometimes. So
Yeah, I mean, and it seems like obviously, like you guys have your own lives, and you don't live in the same town. You have your own careers.
but he really would fuck with me though. You know what I'm saying? Like, last time I seen Cube, I think was at Crazy Tunes' funeral.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? When Crazy Tunes died and shit. So I was up there, and I know that meant a lot to him, because like that was his dog. For real.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
Cube.
Yeah, W seen the Matt Circle. I mean,
And that was Dub's brother. You know what I'm saying? Crazy Tunes.
I didn't
Dub.
realize that.
Yeah, that's his brother. So like,
oh my god.
both of them seen me up there. I know that Cube couldn't even talk to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you know, that's a big deal. But I seen the whole family, everybody. Like, I think people miss me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would hope that maybe one day you guys can reconnect in some possible manner, one way or another. I mean,
I see him every now and then. Like, you know, if he got like a show, I think, where I'm gonna be at coming up pretty soon.
Okay.
Like a festival. Like, I'll be seeing him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I see him every now and then. But like, he got a studio, like a real studio.
I would think so.
Like a real studio, like a building. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like, he'd be like, man, come through, man. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, you gotta take advantage of that.
I just be like, you know, I don't know. I just be feeling funny sometimes.
Were you guys like, when that album finally came out, were you guys like stoked and excited about it? I mean, it's such a great record, and at such a certain time, because I mean, that was right after I think America's Most Wanted. I think it was like hot off the heels of that.
What's that, Death Certificate?
No, your debut.
Yeah, we was excited about it, but then when I got back home, a lot of my homies around me,
All right.
they were trying to make me feel bad.
Oh, because you were working with other types of people or something like that.
I guess they was trying to say like, that ain't real hip hop. You rapping over the same thing gangster rappers rap over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that made me feel hella bad, and that's how No Need for Alarm came about.
Oh, so you just like annihilated everyone with that response to that.
Well, I felt like I had something to prove, so basically that's me screaming to everybody, I'm real hip hop. I could do real hip hop.
Yeah, I feel you. But I mean, what's interesting is that, like, you know, you take those 4 albums that went from, you know, I Wish My Brother George Was Here to No Need for Alarm and Future Development and Both Sides of the Brain. Like, and to me, they're all very different albums. Like, very different, like, you know, I mean, you have lyrics for, you know, for days and days, but the emotion on them, and like there's just subtle differences that make them their own total, it's like their own like cinematic experience per project, you know. I mean, Both Sides of the Brain obviously is like a total different experience from No Need for Alarm too.
Both Sides of the Brain, for me, that was like the pinnacle to me.
Well,
like,
you produced most of it too, right?
Yeah, but I was focusing more lyrically
Right.
on the shit. So to me at that time, like that was the pinnacle of what I could do.
Right.
That's
the stories are amazing.
That's kind of why I called it Both Sides of the Brain, though. But yeah,
Right.
Stories got something to do with it. I felt like I could rhyme whatever I wanted to rhyme
Right.
and still say whatever I wanted to say.
It's like Slick Rick times a million and shit to me. Because like Skull and Crossbones, you know, it's this amazing like cautionary tale of drunk driving, getting too fucked up, which I mean, so many people can associate that with. BMs too is such a visionary, like, you know, going to Amsterdam to smoke weed and shit. I mean, and Super Fiend too, which like totally like in a way like predates like what like Dave Chappelle was doing too, with this sort of like that whatever that character he had was like. I know that was before that. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like, yeah, it's amazing stories. If you must, I mean, not to just like regale you with your own songs and stuff. I'm just trying to remember them. Protoculture too is such a great. That's like such a great specific thing as well.
I think I can't agree with you with that. I've always had some kind of humor to my shit because that's what attracted me to the shit in the first place, and I feel that's when hip hop started falling off. When it got
too taking itself too seriously, or
when it became more about trying to scare the shit out of you or flossing on you for the money that you paid them for their services.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes, they do.
Like that's when motherfuckers stop fucking with it, and I think that's why battle rap is so potent right now.
Right.
Because it went back to that wordplay. I think even Ebro said that in a tweet.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Just kind of trolling, but kind of serious, just trying to see what motherfuckers would say.
About battle, like specifically about battle shit?
Not about battle shit, but he was like, shit don't have no wordplay in it no more, and that's why it's not really popping like it used to.
I feel you.
And he named some rappers. I'm not gonna name them now.
Of course, yeah.
But he was like, you know, they rhyme amazing, they tell good stories, but there ain't no wordplay.
Not at all, yeah.
And a lot of people was like, nah, fuck that shit, da 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 da. Like he knew people was gonna say, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, he was lightweight trolling, but he had a point though to me.
Right.
But then, you know, the battle shit, that's all it is, wordplay. To the point where it could be annoying to most people. Because too much wordplay with not enough substance can be annoying to people.
That's a good point, yeah. Yeah, I think that's why it might be intimidating to like the hip-hop head that likes albums and songs to jump into that battle world where it's like, it's all wordplay, it's very aggressive, it's very male focused, like testosterone. It's like, you know,
possibly. I mean,
maybe I'm just, that's my perspective.
The chicks be my favorite battle rappers.
I need to be. You need to put me up on game on that because I don't know it. I don't know them like that. So
Queen of the Ring is like the premier female battle league.
Okay.
It's all female.
Oh, dope.
And they had left for a while, but they're trying to bring it back now.
Dope.
You know what I'm saying? They're actually more aggressive than the men are. To tell you the truth.
Oh wow! Yeah,
like they do way more personals. They do way more. You know what I'm saying? They just get way more. You know, they're like women. Basically, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Women be doing way more than men be doing. Like as far as emotional shit, they'll really try to fuck you up. You know what I'm saying?
I know that we might not have a ton of time left too before you have, because you got a big show today too. You're doing the Gorillas are doing a show.
Yeah, but I'm only doing
your joint.
Yeah, and then I'm out. You know what I'm saying?
I like that because the story too with that song too was just, it was such a quick take too for that, right? It was just in and out, right? As far as the making of that particular song.
Yeah, because really Dan the Automator, he had that song already.
Right.
And he wanted something better. And he felt like I could write something better than what he had.
Right. But there wasn't like already another MC on it.
No, there was other rappers already on it. It was already a song.
Oh, word? Okay.
He just didn't like them rappers. You know what I'm saying?
Right, okay.
And then we was finishing up Deltron. He was supposed to take me home. And he was like, I just want, could you like clean this up real quick and write another song real quick before I have to turn this in. And I was like, nah, take me home, dude. I don't want to do that. I'm tired.
I'm ready to go home, man. Fuck this.
And he was like, man, you could write it in like 15, 30 minutes tops. And I just said, fuck it. All right, I'll do it. But I had just been reading about how to write a hit song. Because I study songwriting too, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I just I applied what I learned to that song.
Yeah.
And interesting enough, it became a hit song. I'm not gonna say it's because of me necessarily. I think it's because of the artwork and the video.
Well, yeah, that plays a big part in it. But
I wouldn't
if
even
you
say a big part. I would say a crucial part.
Sure.
Otherwise, it'd be a regular ass song.
You're right. Yeah, you got a point there. But I do think that if you hear it on the radio, there's something. If there wasn't a verse, and I can't associate it with anyone else but you because you're the one that's on it, and you have a very distinctive voice too. That obviously, just changes it all around.
But without the characters, there's no group because the Gorillas are a cartoon group.
Right.
So from the beginning, that concept was what it was.
Right.
So it wouldn't even be in existence if it wasn't for them cartoon characters. So that's why I'm saying if it wasn't for dude art,
right?
And he do Tank Girl too. So
oh, that's right.
Huge fan of Tank Girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that kind of led with my interest in the project in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
Because I seen the concept art for Gorillas before it came out.
Right.
Dan was showing it to me, and I was like, "That's the same artist from Tank Girl."
So I want to show you this thing really quickly because I found this old high 8 videotape, and see if you
Nintendo and shit.
Yeah.
Wrecking Crew.
I think it might be. I'm trying to remember what game it's from.
Wrecking Crew.
So yeah, as we're watching this before we wrap up, I'm gonna pan over to you too.
Oh, it looked like that. That's that TV I had, that special video game TV.
Yeah, and so we're playing games for a minute, and then all right. So we gotta roll real quick, but just while we're here, okay. So I want to get you a copy of this eventually because this is like a time capsule if I've ever seen one in my life. We're going through comics here, and just because you got to go to your gate too, I'm gonna flip through this real quick. And then this was so. What was this house? You remember this place? Yep. Obviously, I mean you lived there.
That's the house where that bitch was trying to fucking destroy my life, basically.
Really?
Same house.
So this was like the kind of the pre-studio room, and there was.
I remember that shit. Hell close.
Yeah. And
that's in Richmond. That's before I was forced to move to the other house.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing. There's a lot here. It's a whole hour basically where we go through a bunch of shit. But I know you got to roll. Domino's hit me up. I really appreciate your time, man. Thanks for chatting with me. There's a lot of other shit. I wanted to ask you about the Dinosaur Jr. thing. Were you guys in the studio together when you did that? Was it in New York?
That was in L.A.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Somewhere in L.A. But that was tight because he was actually interested in the shit. You know what I'm saying? And I learned that probably was a precursor to me learning about music theory because he was in the studio and he played everything. His band didn't play nothing. They
Jay
was
Masters
there.
did?
Yeah, Jay Masters. So I was just like, damn, his group ain't even doing nothing. They just catting off somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That just impressed the hell out of me.
Right.
But he also was down for little shit I was trying to do too, like throwing an 808 in there, throwing that.
Oh, really? So you added some embellishments to the joint?
Just to make it kind of hip hop.
Yeah, that's what's up. I'm gonna leave that rolling just so if we need to talk about it. Yo, that was incredibly cool. Much thanks to the one Dell, the Funky Homosapien, for taking his time, making some time for me to come through. And I love that dude is a national treasure. One, he's such an incredible lyricist and a producer, and just like you can meet a more creative person. Like he's constantly thinking and absorbing and creating, and it's been like that since he was like a young man. So go back, do yourself a favor, go back and revisit all of those records, and I'm gonna take some time to find the new joints and kind of dip into that stuff too. But I wanted to ask him about so many other things, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We got a lot of good stuff in there, and it was a really incredible conversation. So thank you guys for tuning into the House List. My name is Peter Agostin. I'm the host and producer of the show. Each and every episode is edited and engineered by CJ Stewart. And yeah, I hope you guys dug it, man. Let me know. Subscribe. Leave a comment if you listen to it on iTunes or even on SoundCloud. Just let me know that you're vibing with it. I'm on Twitter at HouselessPod. So take a minute and repost it. Copy and paste the link. Put it on your website. If you have a blog, if you're on Facebook or whatever, just, post it and share it with people. That's all I'd like to see happen, is people share these kind of candid conversations I have with artists that I admire and people that I think you guys might dig as well. I mean, Dell he's a funkster, man, up and down. And he's like he's just, it's Dell, dude, come on. What's fucking with that? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, much shout out to the Hieroglyphics crew and everybody and all y'all listening. So let me see, I might try to play a little snippet of something off that tape again, just a little tiny bit, and then maybe close out with like another little snippet of just one of my favorite Dell joints. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next episode.
Explode. I smell pussy, it must be you. Disgusting too. Beware when I'm thrusting through. Under eloquent, larger than an elephant. Everything I mention is relevant to me. When MC's a booty, but like my ass cheeks. Last week's assemblage of shit to make you hemorrhage. A barrage of badness, never gladness. I hate MCs, I'm on a whole other level. I deserve a medal for the flows, never composed. Wild like the things that I think. You stink, and my concept of thought are way past your comprehension. Redemption, time with the rhyme. My blood pressure climbs when you speak. Weak niggas, get the fuck back. Cause when ducks quack, it annoys me. You can't destroy me with your sentences. You will never come near to my mind and how intense it is. So fuck it, I erupt with foam around my lips. My saliva frothing, cause I hate when my offspring try to talk back. Chalk isn't black, so scat. Don't try to persecute. You better hope you cop a gat. And if you do, be the first to shoot sucker. Me, Professor Bugless, PhD. Me, Professor Bugless, PhD.
I leave MCs stranded on asteroids, floating through the void of space. Dell the black man, African, back again, cracking windshields so I can heal your souls when you feel my flows. A wild beast when I piece together beats like puzzles. MCs feel muzzled like Dobermans. It's over when you try to duplicate, and then you're 2 for 8 for trying to sink your teeth in. Meeting your maker, Dell the caretaker, here to break it like a way for you faker. Then tell me Faye Baker. I shake your brain up like Quaker Oats for trying to memorize my maniacal quotes. The funk coat your eardrums. Oakland's where we're from. The deviants working feverishly but easily, eagerly awaiting your arrival. Hide all you cowards, you're powerless. I'm live in technicolor and tumorous. You're humorous, my rhymes are numerous. I'm too elaborate in my habitat, with words that hit your skull like a battle axe. I'm actually destined, cause my actual perfection equals natural selection with rhymes as my secret weapon. This involvement in my newest installment